and thank you for being here today. As Chris mentioned, I'm Matt Huber, head of Dodge brand product. So they say the sedan is dead, right? Well, we're here today to show you how the Dodge Charger has been overcoming that trend. It's a process that started in 2015 when we launched the new Charger. At that time, we became self-aware that Dodge is a 3% brand in a huge industry. But we know that that 3% can be a big deal if our products are able to rise above being mere commodities. So we stopped trying to appeal to the other 97%. And let me tell you firsthand, selling cars is not for the faint of heart. We hear every day that nobody wants to buy cars anymore. So how has Dodge been bucking that trend? We've been introducing a steady stream of products that resonate with our performance enthusiasts. So in 2015, we launched the all-new Challenger and Charger with our most popular Scat Pack trim model. Immediately following that, we sent shockwaves throughout the industry by bringing in the 707 horsepower Hellcat trims. In 2017, we relaunched the Challenger TA and Charger Daytona models. And then in 2018, we shocked the world by launching the Dodge Demon, an 840 horsepower street legal drag car that can run a quarter mile faster than any other production car and the only production car to pull a wheel. That was our muscle car mic drop, or so we thought. Our fans were asking for more, so we gave it to them. We took the wide-body kit off the Demon and we made it available on the Challenger, Hellcat, and Scat Pack trims. And then we took the motor and made it available on the Hellcat Red Eye model with 797 horsepower. After that, we launched a new drag model for our grassroots enthusiasts called the 1320, which is basically a nearly 500 horsepower Demon available for $45,000. So that was a lot of performance enhancements, but how has that been translating to sales? Well, the Charger has sold over 80,000 cars for 7 consecutive years, and the Challenger in 2018, best sales year ever. And we just closed the books on the third quarter, so how did that go this year? The Charger had its best third quarter sales since 2006, and Challenger, best third quarter sales ever. But back to why we're here today. Our fans are very passionate, and they're not afraid to call us out, and they have been lately, saying that the Challenger performance has been tipping the scales more so than the Charger performance. So today, we're going to take step one in rectifying that situation. Now, part of why the Charger is so successful is its multiple personalities. It's a 4-door muscle car, it's a badass family sedan, available in rear wheel and all-wheel drive, and it has a powertrain lineup that ranges from a fuel-efficient Pentastar to a 5.7 Hemi to a 392 Scat Pack and a 707 horsepower Hellcat. And Dodge and SRT has been pushing the Charger as far as a sedan can be, and maybe even as far as it should be. But today, we're going to push it even further. We're going to literally expand the performance trims by introducing the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody and the Dodge Charger Scat Pack Widebody. Now, Chris is going to tell you about the design of the cars.
Thanks, Mike. Hey guys, my name is Chris Piscatelli. I'm the design manager of the Dodge and SRT exterior studio, and I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you guys about these cars. So, for those of you who have been at this for a while, I'm sure you've been to plenty of design reveals where designers with giant watches and black turtlenecks throw around terms like modernity and surface tension, get down and throw you a line. That's cool, all important stuff, but for us, for this car especially, we just wanted it to be badass. So that's what we went with. We wanted this to be bold, aggressive, and maybe a little bit offensive. And I think we've achieved just that. Honestly, it was one of those things where we wanted this to be a car that a kid would want to hang a poster of in their bedroom, which is not an easy task when you're talking about a 4-door sedan. So, like Matt mentioned, we know our customer base and we know their wants, and they're a very vocal, very passionate crew. So we know their likes, we know their dislikes. They tell us whether we ask or not. And so instead of reinventing the formula, we decided to refine it, which brings us to this car today. So, starting with the front, let's talk about the design a little bit. The car gets its own unique front fascia with the integrated flares and the integrated splitter. It has a which is kind of is designed to get the airflow to the radiator, and it's designed with functionality. So, you know, in Dodge and SRT, anything we do with performance, it has to be kind of validated. It has to look good, but it's totally a form follows function mentality. So, you know, that doing stuff like that kind of lends us a credibility. So going around to the side of the car, we have the flares, which allow us to get 3.5 inches more width to the car to fit in these massive 305 tires. Around the side, along with the new 2-piece badges, the unique sill accentuates the car's kind of ground-hugging stance, but also kind of accentuates the already Coke bottle feel to the body side of the car. Around the back, it's got obviously the flares as well, and a unique rear fascia. The Hellcat gets its own spoiler, which again, working with SRT engineering, we've maximized downforce. Around the interior of the car, there's live stitching on all the accents throughout the interior. And there's also a couple new things, one of which is the carbon and suede package, in which there's actual real carbon fiber trim pieces in the instrument panel and in the console. Also, not in these two cars, but out there you'll see that we have a new caramel color wave for the interior, which is actually is really cool when you see it against some of the wild exterior colors. So coming back to the exterior a little bit, I want to talk about the wheels. So we have two different 20 by 11 inch wheels. They're monstrous, and I love them. On that one, that wheel's called the Devil's Rim. This one's called Warp Speed, and for those of my fellow Star Trek nerds, the reason it got that name is because when the designer first drew it up on his screen, it looked like, you know, it was so deep that you were jumping into hyperspace. In fact, when we printed off the first physical versions of these wheels, our director called bullshit on us and made us go back to the tube because he couldn't believe that there was actually that much depth in the wheel. And I mean, if you see it from anywhere but, you know, right looking at it, you can't even see the center because it really has that depth. Again, inside and out, I think it just got that kind of real aggressive feel to the car. One more thing, we have a really awesome color and trim team, and we love our heritage colors. So along with this new color, which is Frostbite, you'll see a few other colors in the lineup, which are Cinnamon Stick and then Hell Raisin as well. Awesome, you know, super deep colors inspired by some of our heritage colors as well. So in conclusion, as far as the design of this thing goes, it's unapologetic, it's aggressive, it's who we are as Dodge and SRT, and we're totally not sorry about that. So thanks guys, I appreciate you being here, and any questions, I'll be around. I'm gonna pass it over to Jim. He's gonna tell you a little bit more about how we actually make it work. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Wilder. I'm the Vehicle Development Manager for the Charger program for SRT. Before we talk about some of the engineering behind these, I really want to talk a little bit about philosophy of the car, because that's really what sets us up for designing and engineering what we do. You've heard it mentioned it's a 4-door family sedan, and we really take that to heart. It's a 4-door sedan that you can pile your family in and drive coast to coast comfortably. That is definitely one of the objectives we have. The other objective is it's a serious, aggressive muscle car that while you're on your cross-country trip, you can stop at drag strips and racetracks all along the way and not only hold your own, but excel. So with that in mind, I want to start with the Scat Pack. And what do we do to make the Scat Pack work? So obviously, very noticeably is the wide body on the car. But starting with powertrain, powered by a 6.4 liter naturally aspirated Hemi, 485 horsepower, made into the 8-speed automatic transmission. I'll mention this a few different times. Street, sport, and track modes are inside the transmission, so you've got gear selection, shift schedules for pretty much any occasion that you're in. The philosophy between those modes, and this goes to the suspension, this goes to the steering, this goes to the transmission, the stability control. Street or auto mode is sporty, but it's still compliant. Track is super aggressive, in your face, performance is the key. I'm not looking for comfort there. I'm trying to make the car fast. Whatever that mode is for the, or whatever that component that we're talking about. So 485 horsepower, highest naturally aspirated horsepower in its class. Gotta have big brakes to stop it though. That's a lot of power, so we have huge brakes. We took brakes from the SRT packages, 6-piston Brembos up front, 390 millimeter two-piece rotors. In the rear, we have 4-piston Brembos and 350 millimeter rotors. Huge braking power, huge fade resistance, all for stopping distance and for fade protection on the racetrack. So, to the flares, to the big tires. Obviously the Widebody kit is the big dynamic change to the car. 305 tires, Pirelli's 3-season and 4-season. 4-season standard, 3-season is optional. Huge difference in grip, but we didn't want to stop there. What can we do to optimize that grip? Each car took a little different approach. Each car has a little different weight distribution, different power levels. They each want something a little bit different. The car talks to us when we're designing, or when we're engineering what we want, what they want. So this car ended up with 27% more spring in the front, 27% increase in spring rate in the front. In the rear, we increased sway bar size from a 19 hollow to a 21.7 millimeter hollow, a 52% increase in stiffness. This car also comes standard with Bilstein adaptive shocks. So 3-mode shocks, street, sport, and track on the shocks, significantly retuned. It's not just a takeoff shock from an SRT, it's a significantly retuned shock for this package. EPS, also street, sport, and track, retuned. It was standard, it is standard, but the modes have been uniquely calibrated. We do all these things for performance. We're not doing them just for fun. It's fun developing these cars, no doubt about it, but we're doing them for performance. 0 to 60 dropped 0.3 of a second to 4.3 seconds. Quarter mile dropped 1/10 of a second to 12.4 seconds. Braking distance dropped 3 feet from 110 to 107 feet. And the big change, skid pad, went from 0.91 Gs to 0.98 Gs. Big change in skid pad. Moving over to the SRT. Powered by the 6.2 liter Hellcat Hemi, 707 horsepower, class leading horsepower. Also made it to an 8-speed transmission. The HP90 version, the higher torque capacity version that is in the Scat Pack, also has street, sport, and track modes in the transmission. With that, we maintain the class-leading top speed for a production sedan, 196 miles an hour, a little bit down from the narrow body with the extra drag from the flares. But still class-leading speed. 196 is probably pretty good for most people to get to work in time. Braking power is also the same that we talked about in the Scat Pack. Big 6-piston brakes up front, 390 millimeter two-piece rotors, and the same 4-piston, 350 millimeter rotors in the rear. So again, huge braking power and huge fade resistance for such a powerful vehicle. As I said, this took a little different dynamic approach. This car wanted 38% more spring rate in the front, a significant change in spring rate in the front. And we also changed the bars both front and rear. Front sway bar went from 32 hollow to 34 hollow, an 18% increase in stiffness. Rear went from the same as the Scat, 19 hollow to 21.7 hollow for a 52% increase in stiffness. First time, I should mention Bilstein shocks too. Obviously, as our SRTs have been, this has adaptive shocks, street, sport, and track mode in those. Again, retuned for this package to go with the mechanical differences that we made. First time available on a Charger Hellcat is EPS, electric power steering. Nice feature upgrade for this car, with the various modes, street, sport, and track for that as well. We didn't stop at the dynamics with that though. We wanted to have a little bit of a different look. We threw a new spoiler on the back. So not only does that give us a unique look to the car, it also added 30 counts rear downforce. 30 counts more rear downforce to the car. So pretty nice change in balance on the car. And then to balance that out in the front, underneath on the belly pan, you'll see underneath the fascia, if you get down on your knees, you'll see an air dam, tire spats, and then brake ducts. We wanted to get as much cool air as we could to the brakes for track fade protection. But that also ended up giving us 40 counts reduced front lift. So 40 counts less lift in the front, 30 counts more down in the rear, really helps the stability of the car, plant the car. Again, we do this all for performance. Quarter mile and 0 to 60 each dropped 1/10 of a second. Quarter mile is 10.96 on 3-season tires. 0 to 60 is 3.6 seconds. So we have a true 10-second car on street tires. Braking distance dropped 4 feet from 111 to 107 feet. and skid pad went up from 0.90 Gs, 0.90 Gs to 0.96 Gs, another significant performance increase. Both these cars were tested on a 2.1 mile track to kind of throw all those objectives together into one lap. This car over the narrow body dropped 1.3 seconds per lap, 8 car lengths. This car dropped 2.1 seconds per lap, 13 car lengths. A huge, huge difference in performance. These changes aren't subtle. You guys are gonna feel these changes when you're street driving the cars today. Steering is quicker, sharper. The front increase in spring rate is a big difference in how the car turns in. And then when you get to drive them on the track, exit out power is amazing. The big tires, the grip coming through the corner, and then the grip coming out of the corners is pretty phenomenal. So I hope you guys enjoy. With that, I will turn it over to Ashton.
Thanks, Jim. Hi guys, I'm Ashton Munoz, Dodge Charger brand manager. I'm going to tell you about the entire lineup and the pricing we went out with. So Matt obviously told you about the Dodge brand, where we're heading, where we've been. Chris was able to talk about all the badass designs from the exterior, the interior, and then Jim obviously how we got there and what we did to increase the performance on these cars. But there's 3 things really to me that make the Charger so successful these past few years. One, like Matt said and Chris said, our enthusiasts talk to us, whether we like it or not. We do like to listen. We are all car guys and girls at Dodge, so just as much as our customers want more performance on these cars, we do too. Second, you'll probably notice that there's just Chargers here for you guys to drive today. There's really nothing else in this price point in the standard full-size market that offer any kind of performance similar to these cars. And then lastly, this kind of tells the story itself why it's been so successful. We offer 4 different engines, 6 different trims, in rear wheel and all-wheel drive. While most of our competitors don't even offer a V8 at all, we have 3 alone. With that being said, we'll start at the SXT. It's an awesome entry-level car. Rear-wheel drive, so you have the nice driving dynamics. Comes with a 7-inch touchscreen. You can also opt for 20-inch wheels on the car in a few different ways. So you can really make that entry-level, under $30,000 price range, a really nice entry-level car. And like I said, there's literally no other standard full-size car that you can buy for under $30,000 right now. Moving up from there is the SXT all-wheel drive. Very similar to the SXT, but we add an advanced all-wheel drive system to it. It's active, so it stays in rear-wheel drive. You still get the driving dynamics of a rear-wheel drive car, and when you need that extra grip in the front, it activates the front wheels. That starts at right around $33,500, and again, nothing else in that price range you can get in the standard full-size market with an all-wheel drive system like that. Up from there, and what I kind of consider the performance lineup in the Charger nameplate, is the GT and the RT. The GT is a 3.6 liter Pentastar, 300 horsepower, and you'll start to see some of the performance pieces start getting pulled in on that GT. So you see a performance hood, functional hood scoop, performance fascias, front, rear, side sills, spoiler, 20-inch wheels, performance suspension, performance brake linings, and then on the interior, you'll start to see a little performance features too, like the performance steering wheel with the paddle shifters and the high bolstered seats. That car starts right at $32,000. So it's an awesome entry-level performance V6, super nimble. You can feel the weight of not having the V8 in the car, so it's super fun to drive. From there, kind of the top end of the performance lineup is what I like to call it, is the RT. And that's the first time you get into the V8. So you have a 370 horse Hemi, 5.7 liter, that starts right at $36,500. And that car is kind of, you get the looks, you get the feel, and you get the sound. All of our V8s have active exhaust. And then for 20 model year, like Chris mentioned, we're offering a real carbon fiber and suede package. So real carbon fiber bezels, suede headliner, A-pillars, and sun visors, and that's available on any V8 model. Moving up from there, and kind of the main reason that we're here today, the Scat Pack and the Hellcat. Right now, our pricing for the Scat Pack is under $40,000. So you have 485 horse, 470 foot-pound of torque, 475 foot-pound of torque, all for under $40,000. And we think that is a main part in why that car has been our most popular model recently. So with the wide body package coming on, we're adding the wide body package for $6,000 as an option onto the Scat Packs. So you can get both the Scat Packs and the standard version and the wide body. When you get the wide body version, you get a lot of the elements that get pulled from the Hellcat. So you get the big 6-piston Brembo brakes, 20 by 11-inch wheels, adaptive damping suspension, and a nice flat bottom steering wheel that's also new for 20 model year. And you'll see in the Scat Pack models out there. Then up from there is the Hellcat. So like Jim mentioned, it's a beast, 707 horse, supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi. That's coming in at $69,645. So there is nothing else on the market that you can get with this amount of performance and this amount of power for right under 70 grand. The closest thing you're gonna find is when you start getting up into the premium brands. One last little thing that we want to show you guys today, we're doing a limited edition Daytona 50th anniversary model. And that is coming in at an MSRP of right under $5,000. And why it's limited edition, we're only doing 501 units. So back in 1969, Dodge released the Dodge Charger Daytona. They did a 501 unit run to homologate that car for racing to sell to the public. So we're only doing 501 units. There's a bunch of unique features on this car that you can't really do in the aftermarket either. This B5 blue paint, that's going to be exclusive to this Daytona package. It's also the 50th anniversary of the paint as well. This car can be had in 4 different colors though. B5 blue, black, and silver. And when it comes in those colors, you get the white Daytona decal and white matching spoiler. You can also get this car in white, and then it comes kind of the opposite. So you get a B5 Daytona vinyl and B5 spoiler. This car also features the warp speed wheels that Chris mentioned earlier, except they're painted in a unique satin carbon finish. Definitely go check out those wheels up close. The paint on it makes them look super deep. Comes with black Brembo brakes. On the interior, all the stitching turns blue and you get the Daytona seats. So you'll see on the console, armrests, IP, seats, and doors, all the stitching is blue. You get a really nice Alcantara steering wheel with blue and silver stitching as well. And then on the interior, we'll actually have a little numbered IP badge, so it'll say, 1 out of 501. And then lastly, we didn't just want to make it a kind of a sticker package. We wanted to add a little bit of performance when we could. So our engineers were able to do an updated software cal on it and hit 717 horsepower at 6,100 RPM. If you guys have any more specific questions, I know that was kind of quick to go with the lineup. Super happy to answer anything after. And then Kristen's gonna kind of just do a little housekeeping before we guys get you on the road. Thank you.
A little bit about your day.